Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be trying some new products from e.l.f. I'm also going to be using a bunch of old favorites. So before we get into that, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I would love to have you here. And if you like this type of video, give it a thumbs up. And let's go ahead and just get started. The first thing I'm going to do is apply primer. This is an old favorite. This is the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Primer. This is more of like a dew primer. It's not super dewy, but it is a little bit more glowy. So I'm just going to place that all over my skin. It does have some tackiness to it, so that helps the foundation adhere to the skin. I am going to place some of this e.l.f. Bite Size Lip Balm. This shade right here, I'm going to place this on my lips because I do have some chapped lips today. I actually like this better than the little squeezy tube. I feel like it's really hard to get the product out of the little squeezy tube. So that's why I like this one a lot better. It just goes on a lot smoother and it's a lot easier to apply. For the center of my face, I'm going to go in with my e.l.f. Matte Primer. This is the Matte Putty Primer. This has actually been one of my favorites for a long time now. It smooths out my pores and also keeps me mattified. Okay, before we go in with foundation, I am going to place these Line and Define eye tapes on. I really do like these to actually give like that winged eye look without having to use like liquid eyeliner. All right, so I take one of these sheets and I actually just cut in the center right on the L. I just cut it like that right on the middle and I just place it on the corner of my eye just like that. Hopefully these are even. They look pretty even. So hopefully they are. All right, so for today for eyeshadow primer, I don't have an e.l.f. one, so I'm gonna go in with my P. Louise eyeshadow primer. This is in Rumor 2. I'm just placing this all over the lid, making sure everything is nicely blended. So for shadow today, I am gonna go in with this e.l.f. Bite Size Shadow. This is in Love You Latte. I just purchased this through the e.l.f. website. I wanted to try it. I love all of the e.l.f. Bite Size shadows, so I wanted to pick up the new one. I know I said earlier that I was going to go in with foundation, but I meant eyeshadow. I'm going to go in with this large dome brush by Sonia Kashuk. It's one of my favorites from the drugstore, or actually from Target. And I'm going to place this cream shadow all over the lid. So just to set that primer. Then I'm going to take this next shade with the same brush and I'm going to run that on my crease and a little bit above it. When you're doing this, you can go over that tape and you're not gonna mess up. It's gonna have like a really sharp line when you're done. Now I'm gonna take this shade right here and I'm kind of just gonna take this on the lid. It's kind of like a tan shade. And for that, I'm using the e.l.f. Fluffy Eye Blender Brush. Looks like that. I'm going to take this e.l.f. Eyeshadow C brush and I'm going into that darker shade. Just press that on the outer corner. If you mess up, don't worry about it because we're going to blend this out. You have to always blend the edges out when you use a dark shadow because you don't want it to look like just too sharp there and too dark. All I'm doing basically is just placing the shadow on that outer corner. Now we're going to go back in with that fluffy brush by e.l.f. I'm going to take this shadow right here. I'm going to take a little bit of that and then blend the edges of that darker shadow. Going to blend everything together. I'm going to take a little bit of this shade as well and I'm going to blend that just right on the edge of that darker shadow, just to blend that darker shadow into the lighter shadow. I want to intensify that outer corner just a little bit, so I'm going to go in with this e.l.f. crease brush. It's a very small crease brush and I'm going to go into that darker shade because I want to intensify it just a tad bit and I'm just going to blend it just like that. And I didn't put too much of that shadow on because I didn't want it to look too blotchy. I'm just blending it into that corner. And of course you see I'm going over that tape. Okay guys, so I did get a sponge from e.l.f. and this is the e.l.f. Angled Silicone Face Sponge. And I will say that I wet it. It didn't really increase in size too much. This is the packaging that it came in. And then it looks like it's dented, you know? Look at this. Like it has like an indentation here. So I don't know how this is gonna work out, but it's flat on each side. So here is the top and the bottom. So the box says that it can be used for liquid, powder, cream, and it also says that it can be used to contour. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and use it for foundation today. So today for foundation, I'm gonna use the Camo CC Cream. I have two shades here, so I'm gonna mix them because this one is a little dark for me. So I'm gonna add a little bit of this one, which is 330W, and this is Tan 425. I did hear that e.l.f. came out with some new shades of this foundation, so I was really happy to hear about that. I'm not sure how many shades, but I do know that they came out with some new shades. So I'm going to mix the two, and then I'm just gonna apply this to my skin. I love this Camo CC Cream. I think it's like one of the best CC creams out there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use a flat side and just press that into the skin. It's applying the foundation like really well. I'm gonna bring some down to blend everything out. I'm gonna go ahead and take these off. See how sharp that line is? I'm gonna go ahead and add some foundation there. Add a little bit more here. So this really applied the foundation really nicely. It covered very well. It gave me kind of like a full coverage with this sponge, which is really nice. It looks like it soaked up a lot of the product, but honestly, most of the product is on my skin. So far so good with that sponge. I am gonna go in with a concealer, but it is not an e.l.f. concealer, and it's the CATRICE True Skin 18-Hour Hydrating Concealer. I do like this concealer for like everyday use, so this is the one that I'm gonna go ahead and put on today. I used to love the e.l.f. Camo Concealer, but I really felt like it started to dry out. The hydrating one didn't work real well for me. It was just kind of too hydrating for my under eyes. So yeah, so I don't use an e.l.f. concealer anymore, but I do love this concealer by CATRICE. I feel like it has some really good coverage and it blends really well. Now it is a little bit difficult with this to get it right in the corner. I kind of wish I had more like a pointier end. As far as for concealer, I don't think it does as good of a job as like a pointy type of sponge would. So I'm gonna go ahead and set my face with my NYX powder. I'm gonna go ahead and set my under eyes with my Well People powder. All right, so for bronzer, I'm gonna go in with the e.l.f. Putty bronzer. So the shade is Golden Daze, and this shade works perfectly for my skin tone. I purchased a new putty bronzer brush. This is what it looks like. So it's a very thin brush and it has an angle. It's not super thick. So I purchased it because I wanted to try it with this cream bronzer and just to see how it places the product. Actually, it places it really nicely. It's blending it well. All right, that brush did a really good job of placing the product on my skin. All right, so now I'm gonna go in with e.l.f. blush, and this shade right here is called Bali. It's a beautiful, like, brown toned with a little bit of red type blush. I'm using an e.l.f. foundation brush to apply it. Just going to press that onto the skin. So I picked up all of the lip liners and I am gonna swatch every single one of them for you guys. Once I swatch it, I'll see which one that I wanna actually place on my lips. But these are the e.l.f. Love Triangle Lip Filler Liners. So this is what the packaging looks like. The liners aren't real big, they're pretty small. I thought they were gonna be a little bit longer, but they're not. They're pretty small and they are a little bit thicker than most liners. The cap pops off and then it is an angled type liner. So you see that? I haven't tried any of these, so I hope that they're creamy. And I'm going to just line, oh gosh, they are super creamy. I'm super excited. Okay, they're very creamy when they swatch. This one is Plum. They also have the names on the bottom of the tube. This one's called Soft Pink. This one right here is called Hot Pink. This one right here is called Red. It's more like an orangey red. It's not like a true red. This one is called Mauve. This one's really pretty. I think it's gonna be one of my favorites. It's called Light Brown. The last one is gonna be another one of my favorites. It's called Deep Brown. Let me go ahead and go in with Soft Pink, and then if I need a little bit more color, I'll go in with the Mauve one, which is right here. I'm gonna take that lip gloss off my lips. Wow, these have nice pigmentation. Very creamy too, just like the swatch. Okay, that is the soft pink, but I think what I want to do is deepen it up a little bit with the mauve. And they're very easy to use, guys. They have the angle to them and it feels like you have a little bit more control. They kind of remind me like of the Patrick Ta lip liners. That one's really pretty. So I am going to go in with my NYX Butter Gloss. This is in the shade Crème Brûlée. That lip gloss went really well with the lip liner. I do want to go ahead and powder my cheeks a little bit. I do feel like I need to. I just do that normally after I put blush on, especially cream products. And I'm using my NYX medium powder to do that. I'm gonna go in with the I Love You Latte palette for my bottom lash line. I'm gonna go in with this shade first, and then I'm gonna go in with the darker shade. And I'm going to take that darker shade and just go on the corner, kind of connect it with that outer corner. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and go over these products really quickly. I don't have many to go over, but I do want to talk about the ones that I purchased. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the I Love You Latte palette. This is just as good as all the other bite-sized palettes. I love the way it goes on the eye. I love the way it blends. This darker shade, I thought I was going to have some issues with it, but I didn't. It really blended well with the other shades. So this is a really good palette to try for like everyday looks. If you're looking for something really easy, simple, just one and done, this would be the product to actually try out. And then for the bronzer brush, I do love the way this applied my bronzer. I didn't move my foundation. It didn't like streak or anything like that. It's very compacted. So when you do go in and you kind of just press that cream bronzer onto your skin, it blends it really well. So I really do like this brush for the cream bronzer. And then for the sponge, I would say skip on the sponge. It's an okay sponge. It did apply the makeup really well, but I really feel like it's one of those sponges that doesn't hold its shape. That's how I feel. I feel like it's not gonna hold its shape, and I really didn't feel like it did well for applying concealer. So I don't know that it's worth buying. Now for the lip liners, these are super creamy lip liners. They went on pretty pigmented, especially the soft pink, because I thought that soft pink wasn't going to be like dark enough for my lips, and it was. The only reason I went in with the mauve is because I wanted to try to deepen it up so that I could add a lighter gloss. But these are really good, guys. They're very creamy. Like I said, they're super pigmented. There's some really nice shades there. I'm especially gonna love like these brown tones because I love nude lipsticks, and I think the nude lipsticks that I have are gonna go really well with these, and they're very inexpensive. I have to say that these are gonna be some really good liners that I'm gonna be using for a while. I just love the creaminess of them, and I do like that they are angled. It just makes me feel like I have a little bit more control when I put them on my lips. I do overline my lips, so I just feel like that angle helps me do that a little bit better. So yeah, these are a hit for me, but like I said, the only product that I really don't think you should spend your money on is this e.l.f. sponge. Other than that, everything else worked really well, and I did use some of my favorites. Of course, my Camo CC Cream. They're coming out with some new shades. I think there's quite a few new shades coming out, so check their website out. If you didn't find your shade before, you'll probably find it now since they've come out with new shades. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys on the next video.